Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of HNE Daily. Today we have everybody here actually, so
All
that's
of
pretty
us.
good. Third time's the
Finally.
charm, I guess, So yeah, today I'm joined by CJ and Nick, so that's awesome.
Hey guys.
No more rotating, at least for this episode. But yeah, today's topics, we talk about the Flash delay, also Venom hype, which has been building a lot lately. Kind of surprising, actually, considering all the shit early on people talked about after the first kind of Venom teaser. Then you have the Alec Baldwin dropping out of the Joker movie in a very odd kind of situation. And then, of course, with the new Star Wars show, kind of the backlash that's been coming back up again, which, for some people it kind of died down, but it seems like with the new Star Wars property out there, the backlash reemerges, just like the Sith
Backlash
reemerge.
awakens.
Yeah, like the Sith. But pretty much, yeah, if you want to hear all of these, hear all of us talk about it, go to SoundCloud. SoundCloud is where we put the full podcast in its whole entirety. Star Wars.
Yep.
And another thing that probably won't be a part of Star Wars is a lot of fans.
Yeah.
Because everyone's still pretty badly hurt by... it's weird, right? Because, people aren't hurt by The Last Jedi like it was, you made a mistake, you made a boo-boo, we'll just slap you on the wrist right now, but, a month from now we'll be good again, or something like that. People are acting like this is, a girl that cheated on them. They're being long-term spiteful towards this movie and the whole franchise as a whole. So, it blows my mind, honestly. CJ... I'll let you introduce what's going on here with Star Wars, but...
Well, so the big thing that we were talking about today, we kicked this off, is when we were looking for topics for this episode, we came across some new concept art for Star Wars Resistance. We kind of had some new looks at some of the characters, and the new art style, which is kind of like an updated version of Rebels. It's that same kind of 3D animation style with the cel-shaded lighting and shadows and... a little bit more. They were saying it's anime style. I don't think it's really that much farther into anime than what they were doing before, but they're calling it what they want. And we were talking about this, and I'm a big fan of Clone Wars and Rebels, and anything Dave Filoni's involved in, even though he's not show running this one, I'm going to be a fan of. And Nick pointed out something that I didn't know, which was that the official first trailer has literally 8 times as many dislikes as likes. It's 88,000 dislikes to 11,000 likes on the official trailer on the Star Wars page, which kind of was boggling my mind a little bit. I just don't get it. I guess that's what we're talking about. Is I don't want to say it's we're talking about why is this happening, but I mean it's just there's a ton of fan backlash, and this is just the latest example of it.
You gotta take Star Wars behind the shed and just put it out of its misery now.
So that's my thing. Is I feel like. With Resistance, obviously it looks very kiddie, it looks very fun, but if you go back to the original trailers for Rebels, it was the same way. If you go back to the beginning of Clone Wars, go watch the Clone Wars movie. Do it. I'm going to kidnap you and make you do it. It's very, very aimed at children, and it's one of those things where I feel like those shows, both of them, started out aiming at a much younger audience than they were aiming at by the time they ended. And it's because they realized it's hey, there's, a whole, grown-up segment of our audience that seems to, actually be the bulk of the people really watching the show. And as such, as they kept getting more and more seasons, they kept getting more and more adult. So what we're seeing in the trailer right now looks very childlike. It looks very kind of fun and lighthearted. Go back and watch Rebels. It was supposed to be the same thing. And it got very serious. Rebels has some of the most, tear-jerky, massive emotional moments of any animated show that I've watched. The Darth Maul fight with Obi-Wan, Ahsoka fighting Vader, Ahsoka realizing who Vader is. All of these moments are connecting, and it's really, really good to me. And I'm even though Resistance might not look like something you want to watch now, I guarantee you it probably would shift back into more serious territory. But I don't know. It's one of those things where obviously, I'm not going to watch every episode. I'm probably going to binge. I don't even have cable. I'm going to binge whenever it's, whenever it wraps up a first season. It's just people are getting really, really worked up about this, and the only thing that I can conclude is it's like an extension of the Last Jedi backlash that led to Solo being boycotted, even though people probably would have appreciated Solo.
Did you see the Ryan Johnson thing when the Last Jedi documentary? He's like, I think this franchise is going to go on forever. And it's like, dude, you made like the movie that like borderline killed it now. It's like, ugh.
Which sucks.
I mean, it does suck because like the prequels, right? Like a lot of people didn't like the prequels, but at least the prequels kind of tried. You know, like they not only did they try, but they didn't in some ways deliberately kind of slap the fan base in the face. You know what I mean? Like people didn't like the midichlorians, but at least George Lucas like tried, and he tried explaining, you know, how that connects with the living force and the cosmic force and the difference between the two and the wills and all that stuff. Like he tried at least, but like with the Last Jedi, you know, a lot of people seem to be very upset because they feel like Johnson intentionally just slapped them all in the face with how he did Luke, and you know, people are upset about Rey still, and just like honestly, the one thing I care about with Star Wars is the fact that we have not gotten a Kenobi movie. Fans want a Kenobi movie. McGregor has said on the record, especially right now while he's promoting Christopher Robin, he wants to do a Kenobi movie. If they contact him about it, he will do it. So my question to you, Lucasfilms, why are you making more animated Star Wars TV shows when you could be making a Kenobi movie and probably redeem yourself in the franchise's eyes, or at least the fans' eyes? Because like this is one of those moments where I'm just like, you got to give the fans what they want. You got to balance it out. You know what I mean? Like you gave them the opposite of what they wanted. Like they wanted Luke. You barely gave them Luke. Then you give them Luke.
Had Luke jumping around and spinning like Yoda and clones.
I mean, like I think I'm too tired to hate on The Last Jedi like now. Like I think I just honestly it's exhausting.
But the Plinkett review just came out for it. The Red Letter Media.
There are some very valid criticisms of kind of some of the stuff they've been doing recently with regards to the sequel films and their reviews of them.
I think there are valid criticisms, but
there are obviously valid criticisms of all of those
it's just
movies.
Exhausting, man.
It's just point. I mean, it's one of those things where I think that there's like a fine line between like valid analytical critique and like nitpicking things to death, because we can nitpick. And, you know, not just nitpicking, but being like, I would have done this. Like, it's like, obviously I wanted to see Luke be, you know, a different character, and I'm not going to have this whole conversation here, but it's like, should the movie be docked points for the fact that they didn't have Luke be what I wanted Luke to be? Objectively, no. Like, the answer is objectively no. Like, in legitimate film criticism, you know, no. Just because Luke wasn't who you wanted him to be, that's not a valid criticism of the film. That could be why you didn't like it. It's just you know, it's legitimately not something that I think you can say. It's like objectively the film was worse because Luke didn't, you know, destroy an entire First Order fleet himself. It's like you can't say that, you know. It's just because it literally doesn't make sense. It's just, I don't know. I'm so tired of talking about that movie. I love it. I still love it. But I don't know.
I remember when
Episode 9 is dead on arrival now.
I mean,
Could be. I honestly hope they stop making Star Wars, because the fandom doesn't deserve it. They've done nothing to deserve it. You know, it's almost like with children. You kind of have to go. It's like, okay, if you don't like this, then, you know, it's gone.
I think they should stop making Star Wars movies in the current era they're in. I think they should just honestly call anything at this point that's like from around the prequel time to like after Return of the Jedi, all that stuff. Call that quits, lock that up, throw it away in a garbage can so no one touches it anymore. Do Old Republic. Do those kind of things where you can basically almost do whatever you want, and fans won't, you know, like you don't have to worry about fans not being happy with your Luke Skywalker or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, Star Wars is so rich, I feel like they really should touch other things besides what's already been, you know, explored beforehand.
They gotta touch other areas.
That just sounds very, very HR non-compliant. there, Nick.
Yep. It's one of those things where, like, especially, something's got to be done. Like, I don't know what they can do. Well, one, I don't know what they can do to get the fandom back on track at this point. Like, even firing Kathleen, getting, rid of Disney, Lucas coming back, which is so rich because Kathleen was picked by Lucas to run the franchise.
Wait, is he coming back or no?
No, he's not. He retired. It's like people
He's
act like people are acting like Disney stole it from him.
Well,
and
the
man
fans
retired.
The fans
the man
like
retired.
Killed him. Pretty much, like the fans killed him out of Star Wars.
I wouldn't want it exactly. It's like people are acting. It's like, oh, we love George, and all George gave us was great movies, and we had a great time together. It's no, you mocked him relentlessly for the prequels, so much the fact that he didn't want to make another one, and then he retired and appointed a successor, and now you're shitting on the successor and rewriting history. So it's one of those things. I don't know how they're going to get the fandom back on board because you're never going to please all these people, and then at the same time. I think, because people have decided that the tactic that they're taking to voice their displeasure is, being xenophobic and oftentimes racist and sexist and, bullying people off social media. Congrats. No more Star Wars. I think that's just, Disney's not going to do it because it makes them way too much money, but legitimately, so many of these people are just redonkulously, not even immature. It's like almost, I'm going to get some hate for saying this, it's just almost like inhumane. It's like, who raised you to go online and bully people because you didn't like a movie? Like, really? Like, who raised you to, like, shit on this show that hasn't come out just because, I don't know, I assume it's probably the art style, but I assume it's mostly the fact that it's set in the sequel trilogy. It's like, and why do you deserve, to get anything for that behavior? It's like, Jesus Christ. Ugh, I'm just so... it sucks because I love this franchise, and I grew up with this franchise, and legitimately this franchise has been in my life longer than just about everything else in my life. I consider this, like, the one thing I'm a fan of above all else, and it's like, I don't even want to be a fan anymore. I don't advertise it. I don't talk to people about it. It's legitimately because it's almost embarrassing. Like, these people have made it embarrassing to be a Star Wars fan. So it's like, I'm perfectly fine if Disney doesn't want to make anything else. I've got,
Star Trek?
8 now. Yeah, I guess I will keep watching Star Trek. So hold on, we've got Force Awakens 5. I've got 6 movies I can watch pretty regularly. I'm not going to watch Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones too regularly, but I like the other 6 a lot. So I'm good. I'm set. I can just rewatch what we've got and go back to wishing that people weren't just massive dicks. And that's all I have to say about that. So
Kenobi.
Grow up.
Nick, do you have any thoughts?
Do better.
Old Republic.
And actually,
want
if they
Old
did Old
Republic
Republic,
back.
I would come back for that. Yeah.
I have been begging for not only Old Republic, but like Darth Revan, like a trilogy. Like, because honestly, like I feel like Kylo, if they wanted to do like a conflicted, Jedi or maybe like not Sith Lord, but I guess Dark Force user, dark side person, like do Revan. Like the dude literally went from back to forth and like I love the character. I think it's really interesting, that kind of duality.